Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Big MX Radio Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Luxon MX. You can save 10% off your entire purchase by locking in discount code BIGMX2025 at checkout. It's going to save you 10% off your order. If that's a set of triple clamps, it's basically $100. Thanks to our friends over at Luxon MX. Billy's awesome and he makes great products. I am your host, Brad Gebhart. With me on the line, this is the second week in a row that I'm having a mechanic on from the Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha team. We had Duffy on last week and he was talking all kinds of shit on Jelly. So I had to have Josh Ellingson on to defend himself. Josh, welcome to the podcast.
How's it going?
I'm not doing too bad, man. I was completely flabbergasted by the absolute besmirching of your name on this podcast by one Brent Duffy 1 week ago. I'm totally kidding. But yeah, I wanted to have you, I want to get some mechanics on. I love talking to mechanics. I love talking about the nuts and bolts of the sport. And yeah, who better than a couple of guys who they both had guys at the top step of the podium this year.
Yeah, it's good that, mechanics get a little recognition. I mean, a lot of guys have a lot of pretty good stories and they've experienced a lot through the years of climbing through the ranks to get to a point in their career where they're winning or have been winning. Yeah, each guy has there's no paved path. It's a lot of roads to get to this point.
Yeah, when it comes to professional motocross mechanics, but when you get to like a level like yours, there's a lot of people, and I think this rings true with almost everybody who ends up working for somebody who's either a championship contender or a race winner, is that like everyone wants your view, but nobody wants the climb.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time and work to get to that point. Yeah. And the whole goal that you set out to do is win races and get championships. That's what you're chasing the whole time. And
right.
There are cases where you get there quicker than others, and then there's cases where you never get there. So it's never a guarantee. You got to have a lot of passion to do it and be okay with possibly it never happening. I mean, I've been in a lot of opportunities where I wouldn't say a lot. I've been in opportunities that I've achieved those dreams, but it's always the carrot each year. You can get it one year and you're still hungry to get it again the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's those heaping helpings of humble pie that a lot of mechanics get in the early years. That it's basically like baptism by fire. You're either going to sort of weather that storm and make the most of it, enjoy the process, like kind of just dig deep and get through that time, or you're not. Like essentially, you're going to fizzle out rather quick. It's a lot of late nights. It's a lot of, like, honestly, let's just call it what it is. There's a lot of BS that you deal with, especially with whether it's sponsors that aren't sending what they were supposed to send, or riders that are like a prima donna, or they get hurt, or they like things change at a moment's notice. Like I'm sure you've been through it all. And like you said, like weathering that storm might not also guarantee you that you end up getting to where you want to be. There's plenty of guys who, like, they'll work for, like some lesser known racers that are on lesser known programs for a long, long time. And they never truly get to the point where they can say that they're on a top tier team where they receive a salary and that things are like the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. And even on some top level teams, I'm always blown away, by how sideways things can sometimes get. But, unfortunately, this is a passion based sport and we do it because we love it. We don't always do it because it's the most glamorous and the most like the financially rewarding thing in the entire world. It takes a lot and it's a lot of work on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. And whether you're winning on the night or your guy is from 10th or to not even making the night show, it is the same amount of work that goes into it. You still got to build the bike. You still got to make changes, fix any issues, and rebuild it for the next race. So getting a guy that will contend for wins each night, make the Sundays when you wake up and get to the truck at 6:30 and then not leave until 7 at night, it makes it a lot easier. And then the next week makes it a little bit more exciting to get to the race on the next weekend. But in reality, it's the same job no matter the result.
100%. No, you're entirely right. So where does that story start for you? I assume at some point, Josh Ellingson was behind the controls of a dirt bike. Where did that transition start for you as far as, like taking yourself out, like taking the helmet off and putting the tool belt on? And who was the first guy that you'd say that you like quote unquote worked for?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty common story of how we all get into it. You know, we're racers before and just not at the level that it takes to be in these guys' positions that they're in right now. So you grow up going to supercrosses, motocrosses. My local races were Millville, Indy, St. Louis, Redbud, and when I was younger, I don't think Ironman was on the series yet, but you're walking through the pits, you're seeing the wow factor of the trucks, the bikes, the guys that make it happen, and how could you not want to put yourself in a position to be on one of those teams? So that's what kind of lit the fire. I always enjoyed working on bikes and being mechanically inclined, and that's what got me pointed or the hunger to try to reach that level. And starting out, I went to MMI in Orlando right out of high school and focused on, I mean, I've only been a Yamaha guy my whole career, but in school, all I worked on was Hondas and Kawasaki's. So they're all very similar, but I thought that was a little funny that the manufacturers that I worked on before, I didn't even make a career out of it. So
Yeah.
the first rider that I worked for was Luke Renslin. It was kind of a shot in the wind, like I was getting closer to being at the end of school and just searching to try to find my first leg in the door, and came across the Renslin family. They just built their facility in Florida, and they were looking for someone to do amateurs with, and I was fortunate enough for them to give me my first opportunity. So I still had a little bit left to school, so I was going up on the weekends, on Fridays, going up, working on bikes, getting him ready for the next week, and then I drive back down and go to school for the week. So it was a little bit of a grind, but I mean, that's what it took to have something right out of school.
That's pretty gnarly, dude. Like, and working with Reslin, like that guy is an absolute cartoon character. Like, you must have some stories and some key features about working with him.
Yeah, I mean, him and Luke and his brother Cody, I mean, they were comedians. They were, honestly, if you look at it, they're YouTube videos from back in the day, and this was before me. They were living at GPF,
right,
with only thing to kill time was making funny videos and doing stuff. They were a little bit ahead of the curve on
they're content creators in 2014.
And, yeah, exactly. It's for them, they kind of started too early. If they would be doing it now, I'm sure they would make pretty dang good money, because they are pretty funny.
No doubt. What's your best Luke Renslin story?
Man, my
one that you can
Luke
tell
Renslin
on the air
story.
and that he wouldn't be embarrassed that you tell.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I honestly, it's been a really long time. It's been almost 9 years since we've worked together. 8 or 9 years. I would have to say my best. We might have to put a pin in it. I might have to come back to that.
Okay, we come back to that one.
Think on that one.
Yeah. So how long did you work with those guys, and how did you sort of parlay that into more opportunities? Like working at the races as a professional mechanic, and I'm sure you're in the position you're in now. You must see some young bucks that are maybe they're 9 years younger than where you're at right now. Who is some of those, like the mechanics that were cool with you, that were like maybe they're on that next step of teams that like they're obviously like they're not on a privateer team, they're on a factory team. Who are the people that were like sort of like welcomed you into the fray and made you feel like you belonged?
Yeah, I would say kind of starting out, I'm trying to remember their names. There was a group of us that we all were kind of, I guess let me back up. With Luke,
Okay.
I started out with him, and it was he just got done, I believe, winning, I can't remember if it was a schoolboy title or just going in. He was just going into the A class. I believe it was going to be his first year of A, and it was 250, 450, and that was the year he won his 450 title. So kind of right away in the beginning, I was very fortunate enough to get actually a really good guy, and the whole family taught me honestly a lot. So I was so green that it was learn on the job as you go, and you have to learn fast, because he was a high caliber amateur. And so I did 2 years of amateur. We won 2 450A titles, and he was kind of in the class of not a lot of positions moving into the pro ranks. So from there we got going with Cycle Trader.
That's right.
And I worked.
Was Skip running the team at the time or no?
Nope, that was Traders.
Oh,
So
okay.
Cycle Trader was before
Right.
Traders.
Cycle Trader. I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm
that
thinking
was
something else.
Yep. Cycle Traders was Christina Denny. Chris and Christina, yeah, and Mike Duclos. So
Okay. Did you get to work with Kyle Defoe at that team? Sorry to interrupt you.
Nope, that was
Different
as
year.
I was leaving. Yep, he came in to work for Tommy Hahn.
Okay.
So we did our first year of right out of Loretta's. We did the last 3 outdoors, and then we did our first full season. I believe it was 2014 or 15, and then we had 2 years on Cycle Trader. And while he was, I would say the first 2 years were decent, like a top 10 guy, breaking in the top 5s. Didn't quite get the breakout ride to get on the podium, but was always in contention. And for the equipment, we had decent equipment, but obviously on par. I mean, wasn't on to what like Star had or the factory level teams, but Cycle Trader was definitely a good stepping stone. They had a lot of guys that were able to move into positions on Star, like Colt Nichols and Amart and guys like that. So we had the equipment that could get it done. It just couldn't quite get that breakout ride that would have elevated him into the next level. So while we're 2 years at Cycle Trader, actually, like you talk about mechanics allowing you in, I'm still really new to the scene, really green. I had a couple amateur mechanic buddies, but for the most part, we stayed pretty close knit to ourselves. And from there, from kind of push along the timeline a little bit, from there, I went to Star in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of got my shoe in the door there was our truck driver at Cycle Trader went to Star to drive their semi, and he was kind of like my recommendation.
Oh, okay.
And
your man on the inside.
He was kind of the guy that helped me get my first opportunity, and I definitely owe him a lot for that, because like your first goals when you're starting this is to get to the team, to get to a team of that caliber. And being with the Rensland family for so long, like I would say I was basically part of the family. Like we were really close, tight knit group. and doing the amateur scene, you spend a lot of time together. So that decision to leave Luke and go that direction was, I would say, in the top 3 hardest decisions I've made in my career. And we're still very close. I still see them. They have a party every year down at their facility, and I try to make it down there every opportunity I get. So we're still very close. But at that point in my career, it was hard to forecast where it was going to go. So that's when I made the decision to go to Star in 2017.
There you go, and you've been there ever since. We're on 8 years now, dude. Like, what's crazy to me is that like I happen to just like pull up Luke's vault for Loretta's, and these results feel like yesterday, but they super weren't because they're 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're totally right about like a lot of these guys not really having a stepping stone. Like I'm looking at the 250 A class and the 450 A class. Was it muddy or something that weekend or that year?
Because
like, there's some weird results
super
in there.
Muddy.
Like,
yeah, it was up and down. I know
okay.
A couple motos in there. At least some point you get a nasty mutter and like. For us, I mean, we were on a carbureted Yamaha. I know Star
That's
had
right.
it figured out, but our bike was, I think one of the years RJ got his Geico ride, and then so he had a good bike, and we didn't have an up to par 250, which was kind of hindered Luke's 250 results, and didn't really showcase the type of caliber of rider he was. But when you even the playing field on a 450, he excelled really well. And 100%. I know at one point, I think the first year he wanted to go pro, and I think it was Ziggy that kind of talked us out of going pro on a 450, because you can definitely get yourself lost in the field if the results aren't spectacular, and then you kind of lose any sort of hype around you. Yeah. So that was his reasoning for going back and defending his title, because hoping that something would open up. And going to Cycle Trader was definitely a good move to get him projected to potentially get a ride.
Yeah, because there just wasn't a lot of rides to be had. Like if you look at these results, like RJ went straight to Geico and Aldridge went straight to PC. But aside from that, like Reslin in the second spot had nowhere to go. Daniel Baker, nowhere to go. Zach Commons, nowhere to go. Osby, the year after that, I think that he rode for that Suzuki Superstore class, like the team. Josh Cartwright, 9th overall, nowhere to go. John Short, and then like you get some other names like Cameron McAdoo, who like he didn't get a chance with Geico until after he had ridden for MCR. Nick Gaines never got a fair shake either, except for the fact that he was hurt all the time. The only other notables, the funny thing is looking through this, you have Aaron Plessinger who goes DNF 3 DNF, so not exactly the weekend that AP was looking for. Axel Hodges goes 27 DNF 23. Never would have imagined that his career would turn out the way it is. And must have been a miserable week for like Jordan Smith must have got hurt, because in both his classes he went something and then DNF DNS, so he must have got hurt. Yeah.
That's kind of all the Loretta's. You got to deal with a lot of conditions and a lot of adversity that week. You really never know what's going to happen.
Who were you working for when they went back to Loretta's twice in 2020?
In 2020, I was working for...
That's the COVID year.
I want to say that might have been my first year with Justin Cooper.
Okay.
Because I believe
Mr. Talkative.
So. No, that would have been my second year with Justin, because I did 1 or 2 years with Mitchell Harrison. When I first went to Star, that was my first rider. I had Mitchell Harrison And then in Supercross, I did double duty, East-West, one with Mitchell and then one with their Dan Reardon as a fill-in. So that had to have been the first year with Justin Cooper.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot that Dan Reardon was on that team as well. That was a West Coast signing that I was not expecting. Just like the resurgence of Dan Reardon. What was it like working with J Coop? Like my experience with him, I've chatted with him a few times. He's got a dry sense of humor. I think he's probably a little bit more outgoing than people give him credit for, because he is. I don't think he's as outgoing on camera as he is just like shooting the shit with people. What's it like working with J Coop?
It's honestly, working with J Coop's great. He is pretty quiet if you kind of first meet him or in front of a camera or talking, but you get him behind closed doors. He's got a great sense of humor, and he's really fun to hang around with. We're still great friends right now. Obviously, still on the team 450 wise, and he's a guy. Honestly, we probably cut this out for Phil, but we'll place more bets against each other on just silly things, or we're always honestly talking smack to each other in one way, shape, or form. And now we're still have a good relationship. And he was my first caliber rider that I believe he got me my first podium and my first wins. Or actually, wouldn't have been my first podium because Mitchell got on the podium at Redbud in a moto.
That's right.
Overall wise, he got me my first wins, and it took us 3 years. Our third year together, we finally got the Supercross championship done. And then that year, we were in contention for the motocross championship, and he had that really gnarly crash going up the hill at Washougal that I think it broke his thumb or something, but he had a nasty swap, and after that we just weren't able to keep
that was nasty. That going up, it was up Horsepower Hill. He folded himself like a lawn chair.
Yeah, that one, that was and it was on the last lap too. Like, it was basically, all right, yeah, we're heading to the podium, and then all of a sudden, like, it's how quickly things can change. I've had a couple of those in my career, and that was the first one that really puts you back to reality on it's nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah, no, it certainly isn't. And I guess, unfortunately, also dealing with that this year with Eli. I think you guys have been a dynamic duo. You've done a lot of great things together. Unfortunately, he sustained some serious injuries. One with the Achilles, and then this one with the broken leg. Like, what was the first thing that came through your mind? Like, I'm sure, I don't know if you had a vantage point to even see it in the moment, because being so down low with the mechanics area, you probably couldn't see that area of the track. But when he comes back, like, what's the vibe, and what kind of feedback did he have for you? Even at that point, he probably didn't even know that he had a broken leg.
No, I mean, there's so much going on when you're down on the floor as you're doing lap times. It's qualifying, you're watching his lap, watching what's going on, seeing the board, and then all of a sudden on the TV, I look up and he's rolling around the edge of the track, and in the moment, you have 700 different things running through your head: bike, injury, and more. Like, you the unknown. You're like, oh, what the heck just happened? Mm-hmm. And I seen him start to hold his leg, and that's kind of flashbacks to our 23 season, and right. Like, you're almost like sick. You're like, oh no, like, now it's just, okay, how bad is it? And when he rolled up to me, he was in a lot of pain, and as we're sitting there talking, he's like, I think it's getting a little better. And obviously we had a time on the board that allowed us to get into the show, so it really wasn't a stress of getting back out on the track. So we just talked real quick and decided to head back to the truck and then reassess what was going on. But those moments, especially for how good he's riding this year, and We had a pretty awesome showdown with Jet. I mean, it was a super bummer to see Jet go out because as a racer, you want to be the best and beat the best, and you never want to see a top guy go out because then it just brings question marks into the scenario. And with himself, he was probably riding one at the best that we've seen him ever or in a long time.
Yeah.
And to do a silly mistake like that and do that to your leg, it's a really big bummer.
Yeah, it is, and like it honestly is a huge blow to the series. Like, not to say that like the rest of the series isn't still going to be awesome and fantastic, and we've had multiple winners. When you take Jet Lawrence and Eli Tomac out of a series, like there's something missing. There just is. It's the tenacity of a guy like Eli. It's the picture perfect style of a guy like Jet, and just the guys who just push the pace. Like no tomorrow. Yeah, it's something that, like I said, we're still going to have a great series, but, something is clearly missing, and it's, one pieces of that is the big number 3.
Yeah. And especially with him, on a question mark on where his career is going, and you can just hope now that we get to see him another season. Nobody knows that answer yet, but everyone wants to see him finish the series, and he's kind of had some injuries that have put him out of either Supercross or motocross in the last 3 years, and you just want to see him succeed and see him finish a season and get the results that he knows he can and deserves to get.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that, I honestly hope that we haven't seen the last of Eli in Supercross. I personally, if that's me, like obviously he's achieved a lot of things. He doesn't have anything to prove, but personally I wouldn't want to go out like that. I feel like he feels the same way.
No, 100%. And then what happened in 23, I'm sure that in the moment it was just normal mentality of screw it, I'm done. But then as you sit there and start to reevaluate, I think that prolonged him for us to see him race up until this point. So who knows what this situation will do, but an Eli Tomac on the track is way better than him off the track. So we'll
Amen.
see.
I appreciate that. So, one of the things that I wanted to ask about was the Recluse clutch system that you guys are using. It's the brand new Apex clutch, and it hasn't quite been released yet, for the public, but that's going to change as of March 12th, which is when this podcast gets released. I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit, of how long you guys have been using that product, and just how much of an impact it's had. Having spoken to some mechanics of Eli's in the past, of just how hard he is on clutches, or how often, like even, I think it was, Mike Williamson back in the day saying that he'd go through as many as 3 clutches, in his Kawasaki's back in the day. This is 2018. What's it been like working with that clutch system, and what does it bring to the table on both the performance and durability side?
Yeah, Recluse has been with Star. I don't know exactly what it dates back to, but it's been a long time, and they've really worked with the team on developing systems. And yeah, like you said, everyone knows that Eli uses the clutch system as a tool, and the stock system for Yamaha with that caliber of rider it doesn't work. It doesn't hold up like we need it or perform like we need it with engagement points and how he slips the clutch to use also to get power to the ground. So this clutch was developed for Eli in the sense of allowing him to have an engagement point where he wants it, have the lever feel that he needs, and deliver the Yamaha power-wise to the ground as he uses it. So it's to the point now. I mean, yeah, everyone says Eli is super hard on the clutch, and He is, but in a different way. He's not a guy that's just out there burning and smoking it. He's a guy that utilizes it. So
Yeah.
with
Like he uses it
the
like a
recluse
launch.
system, yeah, like if you watch him on offs and in transitions, he's kind of the last breed that uses it in that way. And in the whoops, like everyone else nowadays is kind of white knuckle and using the throttle as the delivery to get through sections where, yeah, he's kind of the last guy that's using it. So with the recluse system, it's now like more race day consistency. Like we're changing clutches a lot, but it's more so when he hits the track, it's the same every time. He has a fresh clutch. He knows what it's going to do, and it's based around starts. Being consistent on the start, the grate kind of takes away the elements of dirt, so you have to now make sure everything is 100% with the rider and the motorcycle to get starts on, I mean, the 22 of the best riders in the world. And it's so crucial in a main event now. If you get a bad start, I mean, Eli's had some amazing rides, but they end up a fifth or a fourth at best. Whereas if you get a start, it makes it a heck of a lot easier on yourself.
Yeah, hey, when you can come around the first corner and not be looking at anyone's rear fender, that's going to usually put yourself in a good position to win a lot of races. So with your star rider Hurt, what does the week to week look like? Like, obviously, you're not framing a bike on Sunday like you were in the past, or maybe you do that Monday. But what's that look like? What's like your week to week must be a whole lot different, although still very diligent and a lot of work going down.
It's it's a little slower pace. I'm still going to the races. I'm just the third kind of help guy on race weekends, whether that's filming, putting the truck up, turning the truck down, grabbing filters, just helping the mechanics as a third guy. I mean, we don't have a massive team on the 450 side, so we utilize all our personnel in multiple different positions. So that's what my race weekends look like. And then during the week is just building sail bikes and basically just getting caught up on all the things you put to the side to go racing. And then when your guy's hurt, you focus on refreshing what he has and getting everything ready for when he comes back, because then it's back to being wide open. So that's really all I'm doing right now. And this injury is a little bit shorter than the ones have been in the past. So just trying to get everything done before he comes back.
Fair enough. So obviously I don't expect you to get too much information out of you here on a Thursday. But like, is it possible we see him before the end of Supercross, or were you fixated specifically on the first round of outdoors?
That's kind of a question in the air. We'll see when he's released and what riding looks like. He's not going to come back to just roll around, so we'll see. We'll basically just have to wait and see what shapes up. There's just a couple variables on release date and how much time he can get on the track.
Fair enough. Tell me about a time on a practice day where the guy just had you shaking your head. Like, you're in Florida, it's hot, it's the middle, like you're getting ready for Supercross, and Eli just like does something that you're just like, okay, like 1% of 1% of the world can do that, or maybe he might be the only person on the planet who can do that.
One thing that sticks out in my brain and the world did see it, like when him and Jet were battling in San Diego, there was that on off before the finish, and a couple slow-mo videos you see him hit one of those ons, and across the tabletop, the front, like he's on the power so hard that the front doesn't even touch the table. He just wheelies across it, and he's done that a couple times.
Yeah,
at
full
the
mat
farm,
skills.
and you're just like, there's so many. Honestly, that's just one of many. Like, the guy is, on a practice day, like people, like not very many people get to see a guy like that ride during the week. And like, there's just so many instances that and things that he does that you're just like, oh my God. Or like the way he makes the bike sound is just special in a sense. Like it's just in the meat, just, you feel bad for that motorcycle because he's just working it as hard as he can. And it's honestly, I need to sit back and be more appreciative of what you're watching, because not a lot of people ride like that anymore. And it's pretty surreal to see him on a practice day.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. And like, it's one thing, like, I personally, I know when there's a Yamaha behind me. I've never had Eli Tomac behind me, and if he was, it'd be for a split second. But, I always find it funny how when I talk to certain racers, like, not only do they know it's the Yamaha, but they know when Eli is back there. You know what I mean? Like that's maybe putting a little extra sauce on it.
Yeah. I mean, they hear just the grunt, just the, of that motorcycle. And, it works in his advantage because people hear that Yamaha come up behind them, it definitely takes your concentration of what you're doing, especially when Eli's on it.
No doubt. So, like with your guy hurt, does that mean that Josh Ellingson might get any opportunity to spin a wheel himself? Like, do you still ride a little bit or no?
My riding schedule, I have about a once a year ride. I have a pretty pristine YZ250 that sits in my garage. That's more of a trophy than hits the track.
Okay.
So my 1 year ride happens, and then it's back to the stand.
Okay. I know like this might not be something we see till outdoors, and I talked to Duffy about this. Like this is the year of the vented plate. Do we see a vented plate on the number 3 in the summer? Because like I don't know if you know this, but vented plates are the coolest thing in the world.
I'm not gonna say no, but right now there's no plan to have a vented plate. But I will never say no because things change daily. So we'll leave it at that.
Fair enough. Well, I'm not going to let you off the podcast before at least asking one more time to see if you have a Luke Redsland story. And even if it's something you can't tell on the air, you could just still tell it anyway. Have you thought of one, or is that lost in the ether?
I drummed up one.
Okay.
And this is not really necessarily to Luke. It's more of like, it was a rivalry between, me and his dad, and it was they have a 1 mile loop around the property, and like, I train pretty regularly. I can't even say the word. I train a lot now. And back then I was pudgy and fat and didn't do anything, eat pizza and chips. So we had this little like running race set up to do a 1 mile loop around the property. And like his stories were back in the day, they used to call him like Fleetfoot or something. Oh. And off the couch, my goal was to beat him in this mile race. And while we're racing, like Luke and Cody are in the golf cart following us and definitely giving him a helping hand on the lifts to catch up. But I did come out on top, and to this day, it's still a running joke of the name Fleetfoot. So that's about all I have right now, or that I'm able to share.
Fair enough. Well, that being said, I hope that you know that this podcast title will be Josh Ellingson, the Fleetfoot Mechanic.
Oh shoot! No, they'll love that. It's good, and they're an awesome family, and they're still doing good things.
Awesome, man. Well, Josh Ellingson here on the Big MX Radio podcast. Thank you so much for making some time today, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Killer, man. Don't hang up just yet, but for podcast sake, we're going to cut things off right there.